This headstone had to be dug out of the ground before we could clean it, and it belongs to my second great-grandfather's oldest brother, Reuben Sewell Stepp. He was born in Henderson County, North Carolina, in the year 1867. At the age of 22, he married his wife, Idella Dewberry, in 1890, and in 1891, they had their first son, Sewell Marcellus Stepp. Not long after this birth, the young family, with several extended family members, made the move to the Boston Mountains of northwest Arkansas, where in March of 1893, in Newton County, their second son, John Henry, was born. 2 short years later, they would have their first daughter, naming her Gracie Arminda after Reuben's mother. Then, in March of 1897, a boy they named Buster was born. Tragically, he only survived for 5 months before he passed away. This was only the beginning of a series of tragedies that would befall this family. A few short days after what would have been Buster's first birthday, Reuben was burned alive in a neighbor's corn crib. There are differing stories about what exactly took place. One newspaper out of Kansas made the rounds stating that Reuben was a wealthy planter who was intoxicated and set fire to his farmhouse, burning himself alive. The Springdale News, however, ran the following story. Reuben Stepp was burned to death on the night of the 1st. He went to sleep in Jonathan Mullen's corn crib in Boston Township. Stepp went to Mullen's house in an intoxicated condition and made use of vulgar and profane language. Mr. Mullins wouldn't allow him to remain in the house and sent him to the corn crib to sleep off the effects of the liquor. About 12 o'clock at night, the crib was discovered to be on fire and Stepp was found burned to a crisp. It is supposed he got cold in the night and in a moment of drunken stupidity touched a match to the contents of the crib. The unfortunate man was about 30 years of age and leaves a wife and 3 children. A year later, an article can be found in the Fort Smith Times stating that Jonathan Mullins of Boston was arraigned on charges of moonshining. My grandmother has always said that her father told them that Reuben was locked in the shed by Mullins, and he is who set fire to it. Reuben's widow Dell remarried, and she eventually died in 1924 at the age of 56. 10 years later, in 1934, Reuben and Dell's second son, John Henry, was accused of murdering his young wife, Beatrice. She was only 18, and they had a 5-month-old son, Henry Craig Stepp. From the Tahlequah Citizen, we can read, John Stepp is in the Tahlequah Hospital where he is being treated for wounds inflicted by the Undersheriff, Grover C. Bishop, when attempting to arrest Stepp. A charge of murder has been filed against Stepp according to court attendance. The charge was filed for hearing before County Judge W.S. Payden as the examining magistrate. According to Grover Bishop, officers were in the Scraper community investigating the shooting of Jess Welch when they heard the fatal shot. The officers related they were but 1/2 mile from the Stepp home when they heard the shot and screams of the victim. Rushing to the house, they stated the murderer ran out the back door. After the death of Miss Stepp, which was almost instant, the officers went to a thicket back of the home and discovered Stepp, who refused to surrender. John Henry was convicted of killing Beatrice and went to prison in McAlester, Oklahoma. He is supposed to have hung himself shortly before he was due to be released in February of 1949. He always maintained that the shooting was accidental.